Let's explore the Buddhist philosophy of no self for beginners. This evening's lesson is drawn from the practice text Kind Gaze's Easy Meditation, based on Zalpatul Rinpoche's final meditation manual, Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones. An individual on Reddit asked, "How do you convince yourself you are not the body?" So this person clearly is very enthusiastic, and that's beautiful. And they were obviously received some very skewed teachings, and that is normal. The majority of people who teach are not fully qualified. Those who think they're qualified typically received teachings from the tradition of Devadatta. They received teachings from the tradition of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. They didn't know any better. The majority of teachers are like that. It's very, very difficult to find a teacher who instructs from the worldview of being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Convince. We cannot think our way to nirvana. Relying primarily upon our prefrontal cortex will exhaust it and elicit the symptoms of depression. We cannot believe our way to nirvana, for belief is simply a rigidity, a grasping at the blend of thought and emotion. And rigidity is antithetical to the Buddha's path of letting go. But what we can do is we can dance with our autonomic nervous system in a way that frees us from the tyranny of our survival impulses and helps us to experience a life that is spontaneous and carefree and at ease. And in so doing, one will viscerally and effortlessly experience the idea that we, if there is such a thing, are not our bodies. Not intellectually, not emotionally, but viscerally. Let's proceed. First, I just want to make sure that the audio is working okay. Sometimes I've had some mixed results. It seems to be working just fine, so let's continue. So I've already mentioned that not self was never, so we can view not self literally, or we can view not self figuratively. If we view not self literally, it typically leads us to one of two destinations, either the superstition of blind faith or the skullduggery of pseudo-intellectualism, neither of which are sustainable in the long run. It's been my experience, and I've always said that if there is such a thing as good karma, I've spent mine on A, managing my disabilities, and B, receiving teachings. And I was lucky enough to receive the teachings that this could be figurative. Now, I'm not asking you to believe me about non-belief. That's just silly. But what I'm going to do is give you exercises and play with those exercises, and you'll be able to notice viscerally whether these exercises enhance your sense of freedom or diminish it. So bottom line, we're going to move forward assuming that not self has always been intended to be a figurative teaching. Thanks to the workings of our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, we are wired so that every time we inhale, we tend to notice we tend to not to mind blank and not to concentrate, but to notice. And we do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This is a survival mechanism. Imagine we go back 400,000 years or 500,000 years, and hominids have left the jungle and begun venturing into the savannah. And there's so many dangerous things on the savannah. Our first hominid, we'll call him Arnie. Arnie is just concentrating on the splendor of a caterpillar and the glorious way its carapace reflects the early morning sunlight. And that is all Arnie perceives. His pal Bernard is not concentrating. He's experiencing an awareness that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random, and he's taken in everything, including the sound of an approaching predator. Between Arnie and Bernard, only one of them escapes, the other becomes lunch. So a primary survival mechanism is to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly to enhance our chances of survival. In that circumstance, it's easy to make knee-jerk, sloppy, broad-ranging generalizations, to over-identify, to identify with my sights, my sounds, my sensation of my body, my sights of my ear, my sights of my eye, my sounds of my ear, my sensations of my body, my taste of my tongue, my sense of my nose. So this is very, very natural. You can think of it as a form of intellectual shorthand, which is useful in the moment, or which could be useful in a limited sense in the moment. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing the parasympathetic nervous system. It is also found in the spinal cord, but this time in the lower lumbar region, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to physically relax and mentally release. So as we relax into our exhalation, however we might have identified with our body during our inhalation, that natural and sloppy self-identification could begin to feel less graspable. It could begin to feel like it wasn't us. So as we breathe in, we could feel like, ooh, body, me. As we relax, ooh, body, not me. And these don't even have to be thoughts. These are just a visceral experience that we tend to put labels on intellectually. So this is the basic theory. And now we're going to jump ahead to an excerpt from the practice text. Please chant with me. I find it useful to put my hands in the puckered palm position in front of my sternum. This is simply because it helps to coalesce my real or imagined subtle energies into my central channel. Please chant with me. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body or form we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. So, what is the secret to transforming mindless mantra recitation into spiritually productive mantra meditation? It is twofold. First, during our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the italicized bit, relaxing into form. Form is a fancy one-syllable word for body. Number two, during our exhalation, we could physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this 6-syllable mantra 4 times per breath. Let's give this a shot right now for the next 4 breaths. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Having performed our mantra meditation, let us make our way over to silent meditation. So as we mentioned previously, as we inhale, we access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. This is an automatic process, but sometimes our brain gets in the way, like a dopey but good-natured doggy who just wants to help. So we can give the doggy a job, and this job is simple. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we already mentioned, during our exhalation, we access the parasympathetic nervous system ensconced within the lower lumbar region, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region of that same spinal cord. It has already evolved to physically relax and mentally release. But sometimes our brain gets in the way accidentally, non-maliciously, but still kind of in a spazzy way. So we undermine that process by allowing the brain to align itself with the agenda of the parasympathetic nervous system by giving it a job. And what's that job? To silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. Or perhaps we could put it a different way. Having chanted the 6-syllable mantra 16 times, let's kick back and simply, during our inhalation, let's watch the antics of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines, as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, let's relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the 1-syllable verb ease. So if one is feeling sincere stress and turmoil over the subject of the physical application of not self, one could spend an entire meditation session just cycling between this opening chant, this mantra meditation, this silent meditation, and then returning to the chant. Just doing these 3 things in a circle over again and over again and over again. You could do it for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. You could do it for once a day, twice a day. You could do it for one day. You could do it for a week. And by the end of the week, it is very conceivable that you could feel much more relaxed about the whole subject. Or if you wanted to, you could join me in chanting and meditation for the rest of this morning's session, which I'd very much like to do after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Our practice text is titled Kind Gaze's Easy Meditation. Those who are stuck on the path of being rigid and fearful and controlling take a literalist view of kind gaze and view kind gaze as that which should be worshipped and supplicated. However, the minority who are traversing this path of being flexible and loving and laid back simply view kind gaze as an archetype whose specific iconography serves to remind us that we are already wired to practice, no less master, awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. This morning's practice is a lot like making pancakes. We're going to flip and flop between mantra meditation and silent meditation. So let's take a moment together to perform a chant that reviews the meaning of the mantra together. Om I invoke the wish for fulfilling Mani jewel of love and the purifying baby lotus of letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. Our first exercise is that of bliss and letting go. It fits into the category of bliss and letting go. It could be described in Tibet as Lama Kieno, or calling the teacher as from afar. Once again, this brass figure reminds us of our enlightened potential. And this figure of the couple sporting in tantric union remind us literally of the sensations that we could experience at the top of our head, and figuratively of the teachings. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite this bit. Not only could we recite it silently and mentally, but we could also recite it passively, just sort of handing it off to our subconscious. If you were as geeky as me, back in the 70s, especially if you're an original gangster, you might remember the Mel Brooks movie History of the World Part 1. Who can forget the musical interlude of the Inquisition, where he takes the riches and hands it to a henchman and says, "Put it in the car." That's what we're doing with this. Only here the car is our subconscious. During our exhalation, we're physically relaxing as best we can while striving to chant this 6-syllable mantra 4 times per breath, in a manner very similar to what we practiced during the opening lesson. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Please do not beat yourself up. It reminds me of a wonderful line from the final reel, or the second final reel of the first Addams Family movie, where I think it's Morticia says to Gomez, "Don't torture yourself, Gomez. That's my job." So don't torture yourself. Give yourself permission to have a learning curve when it comes to mastering the six-syllable mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. If you want to, and if you're already comfortable with the mantra, then as you're practicing, you could during your exhalation, you could just rest your gaze upon the capitalized noun crown. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And let us review what we mentioned previously. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system, found not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. Instead, it is ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It evolved not to support either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Instead, it evolved to simply perceive. And to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. It could be said that vulnerability is the key that unlocks the door to perception or mindfulness. And perhaps that is why this meditational archetype, or the figures comprising this meditational archetype, are depicted as naked. Well, if that's the case, and we're not supposed to actively concentrate, then what do we do with our breath? We treat our breath the way a piano student treats a metronome. When we notice our body spontaneously inhaling, during this first of 4 exercises, we could silently and mentally recite the 12 syllables, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Similarly, when we notice our body exhaling, we could silently and mentally recite an additional 12 syllables, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Let's play with this for the next 8 to 16 breaths. It's going to take me 16 breaths because I breathe faster than you because I'm doing all this talking. Now I'm going to keep track of my rounds or sets of in-breaths and out-breaths by sliding the tip of my left thumb across my fingers. And I'll leave my hand up so you can follow along if you wish. I like to call this Bengali crease counting. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I will then ignore it, stumble upon it accidentally out of the corner of my eye, point and laugh. Let us begin now with the outer set of preliminary practices. Let us sidestep the landmine of pessimism and self-pity. Let us use our observation, our spontaneous observation of stress to help us to notice other people and their needs and their stress, and as such, sow the seeds of deeper empathy. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Instead of viewing interdependence as a threat of karma to come to drag us to hell, let us view interdependence as the means by which our love can actually lighten others' loads. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Let us sidestep the landmine of fear and see impermanence as that which makes of grasping an act of folly. Om Mani Padme Hum. So allow me to elucidate. We might notice the seasons, but they always change. We might notice the cycle of the moon, but it always changes, waxing and waning. We might notice the sun, but it always changes, rising and setting. We might notice our chest, but it always changes, swelling and sinking. Ever changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Yes, we could neurotically should all over ourselves, convincing ourselves that we don't make the most of our precious opportunities to meditate. The demons will bite our ass, and not in the fun, tingly way. But what if instead of that, we allowed our choices, utterances, and deeds to flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity that is generated in the dynamo of mindfulness and meditation? Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Having chanted the mantra 16 times, let us prepare to rest in love and letting go. But first, let us review mindfulness. During each inhalation, we are wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, as well as our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. But what do we do with such things? Well, we meditate. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we feel it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord as well as the tippy top of the cervical area. It has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we have noticed during our inhalation could feel less graspable. Now, since all complex life forms on this planet have evolved to think symbolically, let us sprinkle a bit of the old figurative language into this concept. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during the previous inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, any English teacher worth their salt will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So we must ask, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although it could be compelling to the eye, is still intangible to the hand? Having recited the syllable 16 times, let us kick back and watch the antics of mind as silently and mentally we recite sitting tall, reminding our body to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our head, as if pulling it out of the warm, dark, smelly place we sometimes keep it. During our exhalation, we could relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the three-syllable word relaxing. We turn now to the inner set of preliminary practices that have been inspired by the teachings of the final meditation manual of the great Tibetan yogi Za Paltrul Rinpoche. Let us rest in our empathy for others that already yearns to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of their tendencies to hate and crave and cling. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Now, in all practicality, the most efficient way for us to so master the Buddhist path that we are able to help others do likewise is for us to enthusiastically rely upon the Buddha's example, the Buddha's instructions, and the Buddha's teachings, which are metaphorically known as the three wish-fulfilling jewels. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. When finally we have grown weary of squandering our time and energy and relationships and the meaningless pursuit of defensiveness, we can apply that same enthusiasm to learning from all our numerous mistakes. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Those who often take a literalist approach to Buddhist Tantra will sometimes practice an extensive ritual known as Cho, where first one contemplates the inevitability of death by rehearsing the coalescence of their energy into their mind, into their within their central channel at the heart, willing it to shoot up their central channel like an arrow, leaving through the crown of the head and becoming at one with the heart of their teacher, ultimately the vast expanse. Then peering back down at what remains of their body and possessions, supernaturally collecting it, purifying it, transforming it, and multiplying it into a vast ocean of bliss-inducing nectar, and then offering it to all the denizens of nirvana, samsara, and especially the real or imagined karmic creditors. I am but one of many lamas who have sought over the centuries to make this more concise and more elegant. We can do that in one breath. Out through crown, share my stuff. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Having chanted the mantra 16 times, let us relax in awareness and letting go. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite, notice this. And as we exhale, let us continue to silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb relaxing. We return to our practice of bliss and letting go using an exercise described in Sanskrit as Guru Yoga and in Tibetan as Lama Najor. It's as simple as passively and silently and mentally reciting Lama blend with heart-mind. Lama here literally refers to the teachings and metaphorically refers to our experience of sensation. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 We now graduate. Well, so let's explore the second fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation. And sadly, we have to explore the first fringe benefit, which in my enthusiasm I forgot to mention. We'll begin with bad news and good news. When we rely on active concentration as well as active contemplation, our blood tends to collect at the bottom of our limbic system, specifically at our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. However, when we replace active concentration with passive mindfulness, and when we replace active contemplation with passive meditation, then our blood mass shifts to this particular hunk of meat described as the anterior cingulate gyrus, located just a few centimeters behind our forehead. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. That is why the Dzogchen Lamas have always insisted that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. It is also probably the reason why the entities comprising this archetype of meditation are depicted as beautiful. Now let's explore the second set of fringe benefits. Consider, if you will, this gal the color of a cumulus cloud and the manner in which she actively sports in tantric union. This could remind us that contrivance is always trumped by spontaneity. Now turn your attention to her partner, the color of the infinite azure sky, who appears to be passively savoring the same tantric union. This reminds us that not all spontaneity is created equal, and that the scattered spontaneity one might experience after their third espresso will always be trumped by the centered spontaneity that is the byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. In fact, when our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life could feel as blissful as the real or imagined Pure Land or paradise of a Buddha depicted in tapestries. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease that we played with during our opening lesson. I'm so grateful to Jigme Lingpa and Tulku Tandap and Chogdud Tulku, who insisted that Hatha Yoga could be blended with every stage in the path of Ngondro. Having climbed to contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa on Arjan Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Let us now bring the experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and letting go, where it is love that is emphasized. There are some who refer to this as leaping over jealousy. It's not our job to actively visualize or emote or believe. All we do is play with these words in harmony with our breathing. We will be training our neural pathways responsible for empathy. Let us lovingly wish that all minds of all beings were now as wise, or I should say now possessed the wisdom of the real or imagined of the mind of a real or imagined Buddha, symbolized by a seed syllable such as free. Or for one to be fancy, I'd say symbolized by a 1-syllable seed mantra such as free. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Let us lovingly wish that each being's experience of the interpersonal was as loving as the communication of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Let us lovingly wish that each body or form of each being now enjoyed the health that we see a yidam or an archetype of enlightenment enjoying in tantric art. Or perhaps a better way to say that is enjoy the health enjoyed by the real or imagined archetypes of enlightenment or yidams as depicted in Buddhist art. That would have been better. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Let us lovingly wish that each circumstance or lot of each being now experience the profound good fortune depicted as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise or pure land or vati as painted in various tankas. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Having chanted the mantra 16 times, during our inhalation, let us kick back and observe the antics of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And during our exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease. Let us view letting go through a physiological lens as we bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. There are some who would describe this as leaping over pride. As we breathe in, we could clearly notice our mind's perceptions, emotions, intentions, reasonings, recollections, and imaginings. And yet, as we relax into our recitation of the 6-syllable mantra, these exact same minds could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined seed syllable free, comprised only of light. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. During our inhalation, our resounding experience of the interpersonal, or I should rephrase that, during our inhalation we could experience the interpersonal as resounding, and yet as we relax into the recitation of the 6-syllable mantra, this exact same communication could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra, comprised only of light. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. As we breathe in, experience of the physical could be rather sensual. And yet, as we relax into the recitation of the six-syllable mantra, these exact same bodies could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined archetype or yadam, such as Chenrezig, comprised only of light. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. As we inhale, our circumstances and those of others could appear to us rather vividly. However, yet, as we relax into the recitation of the six-syllable mantra, these exact same circumstances could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or pure land or vati, comprised only of light. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So underneath my microphone is a little tiny button which tells me whether it's on or muted. But I'm a geek, so I look at that and I think, oh, that's like the bottom of the saucer section of the Enterprise depicted in classic Trek. Now let us view letting go through a more philosophical lens as we bring the illusion of the horizontal duality of us and them into the dance of impermanence and interdependence, sometimes described as Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability. Our circumstances could seem to be as impermanent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could interdependently absorb into our body. And by our circumstances, I mean all circumstances. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. All bodies of all beings, real or imagined, are so impermanent that they could metaphorically melt into a rainbow light that could interdependently absorb into our speech, and yes, we are harnessing the power of our own self-centeredness to grow in the wisdom of letting go. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Each being's experience of the interpersonal is so impermanent. It is as impermanent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into this mind. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. What if each mind of each being could be so impermanent as to metaphorically melt into blissful rainbow light that could absorb into a vast empty void discussed previously? Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite vast. During our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite void. Let us bring the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go, which is sometimes described as trick shows sliced through the tyranny of the duality of dread and desire. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite, relaxing into this. What is this? This is whatever we notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Whether that which we notice is external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Having chanted the mantra 16 times, during our inhalation, let's kick back and watch the musing antics of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Let us seal our practice with a love that wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as wise as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a unsearchable vision. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void no be as healthy as a yidam archetype depicted in Buddhist statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing in void no be as fortunate as a pure land of law depicted in Buddhist paintings. Oopsie, wrong button. Let's try that again. If you feel that I've earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always. Happy Star Wars Day.